Hi, Sheri. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. Thanks so much for agreeing to both facilitate an upcoming Peaceful Speakers workshop and to also be our featured Peace Builder. Let's jump right into the questions.
Okay.
The first one, tell me a little bit about your story. What drew you to mediation and how are you involved in it now?
So, initially, way back when, I was trained as a clinical and school psychologist. So I've always been interested in working with people and helping people. And for many years, I worked in both schools and community mental health centers. When my daughter was born in 1996, I decided to be a stay-home mom for a while, and during that time, did several volunteer gigs within Calvert County. And in 2012, I actually saw an ad in the local paper for mediation volunteers. And it was advertising a basic mediation training with the Community Mediation Center of Calvert. I had known a little bit about mediation from my previous work as a psychologist, mostly with divorce mediation. And so I was interested in learning more about mediation. So I took the training and started as a volunteer mediator with the Community Mediation Center in 2012. After a couple of years, their current office manager left her position, and I came in as the office manager, working part-time, and then moved up to operations manager, then operations director, and then several years ago moved into the executive director position. So now I manage the daily operations of the center. I recruit and train volunteers, I write grants, and most importantly, continue to mediate in the Calvert community.
Beautiful. What services does the center provide to people in Calvert County?
Sure. So I would say the biggest service, of course, is mediation. Mediation is for us always voluntary, it's confidential, and we offer it at no cost to Calvert County residents. And also now with Zoom, people out of county as well. So it's enabled us to really expand our reach. We do all sorts of mediations, so families, divorces, landlord-tenant mediation, neighborhood mediations, business disputes, school mediations, prison reentry. So pretty much any type of conflict can be mediated. So anything you can think of where there would be an issue or a conflict and people need to have a conversation, we can help them with that in mediation. We also do several different types of training. We do conflict resolution skills training, and that can be we've done it for schools, businesses, organizations, churches. We do conflict coaching, which is a new service for us where an individual can work one-on-one with a mediator to talk through a conflict they're having and get some support in developing some options and how they want to deal with that. And then, of course, we do basic mediation training with our new volunteers every year to 18 months. And we also do peer mediation training. And then I guess the last group of services we provide are group processes. So we can do facilitations like workplace facilitations, community conversations. We do IEP facilitations in the schools. And then we also do some circle processes, both in and out of the schools. And we're also involved in restorative justice processes.
Wow. So it sounds like you're very busy. We're doing a lot of work.
We do a lot of things. We try to respond to whatever the community need is and try to provide that service.
Yeah, that's great. And it's so needed right now. All of these skills when it comes to conflict and learning how to talk to people. It's so important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit more about circle processes and restorative justice practices?
Sure. So circle processes are a group intervention where you get a group of people together. It can be students, it can be a workplace, it could be neighbors, whoever it is. If we're in person, we actually sit in a circle, but we do have the ability to do them via Zoom. We did that during the pandemic so we could continue to provide the services. But ideally, people are in the same room, sitting in a circle, and with the help of a facilitator, they talk about an issue that's affecting them or that's important to them. So it could be a conflict, it could be an issue that's going on in the workplace or the neighborhood, just something that people feel like they need to come together to talk about. So the circles can be used to prevent conflicts from escalating, to resolve conflicts, or even to do like some goal setting for a group. So pretty much anything that needs a group decision or a group conversation, we can do a circle process. We do classroom circles in the Calvert County schools and talk about things with the kids like respect, peer pressure, dealing with anger. And the circle process gives them a chance to both listen to each other and also to share their ideas and what's going on with that. And then restorative justice is a process for when there's actually been a harm done to somebody. So instead of going through the traditional criminal justice system, restorative justice allows the victim, the offender, and any other people who may have been affected to come together to discuss what happened, why it happened, and then how can amends be made or restitution. So, and that can be a really powerful process, both for the offenders, especially youth. It can keep them out of the criminal justice system, but it can also be really important for victims because it can be a healing process for them to talk about what they went through with the offender and talk to them one-on-one and tell them what they need to be made whole again, what sort of restitution is important to them, which you can't necessarily get in the traditional court system.
So important. To go back to you, let's go back to you for a second. What's something you're most proud of regarding your time as a mediator?
So that's a tough one. There have been a lot of different mediations and facilitations that really prove to me how powerful it can be when people come together to have honest conversations with the support of mediators. As a mediator, I'm ethically bound to keep details confidential. So I can, I'll share some like general moments that stand out to me that really make me feel good as a mediator. One is when people come into the mediation session, and this happens a lot, really doubtful, worrying it's going to be a waste of time, nothing's going to happen, nothing will get resolved. And then they surprise themselves when they're able to actually reach a resolution with that other person. So as mediators, we support that conversation, but we never supplant it. We never tell people what to do or what decisions they need to make. It all comes from their conversations. So people really become empowered to make their own decisions, and then they can claim any success as their own, which really makes me proud to be a part of that process. We were talking about restorative justice. Another incident that I was really proud to be a part of was a restorative justice process where several young men who otherwise probably would have entered the juvenile justice system were able to go through the restorative justice process instead and reach agreement with a victim to make restitution to her. The victim told us afterwards that she felt much safer in her own neighborhood because she was able to talk to these young men, and the youth took responsibility for their actions, talked about how to make restitution with the woman and did that. And to me, that was just so much more satisfying than just seeing them go through the typical court process, probably winding up in a detention center. The victim still would have had unresolved trauma, and then they would have been in that prison pipeline. This was just so much more meaningful to be a part of that process where that could happen. And I guess the third thing I can think of is mediations where the conversation really prevents violence from occurring or escalating. Not all mediations end up with with people hugging each other and being friends. That's really, it's a common misperception. People always think, oh, in mediation, we're all going to have to hug and sing Kumbaya and love everybody. That's absolutely not true. Mediation participants still may not like each other. They may still even have a conflict that's unresolved at the end of mediation. But what they can do is talk about how to keep things from escalating further to the point where it may lead to violence or police involvement or court cases or things like that. And so being able to be a part of a process that really prevents violence is really important to me, because I feel like it keeps our whole community safer when things like that can happen.
I love that. Thank you.
Sure.
In your opinion, how is mediation related to peace building?
So to me, mediation is related to peace building because it offers people the opportunity to resolve conflicts in a peaceful way. As I'm sure you've seen, there are many ways to deal with conflicts. Not all of them are particularly helpful and not all of them are peaceful. But when people choose to mediate, they're choosing to try the way of peace. So when they can resolve a conflict in a peaceful way, they have that experience to bring with them going forward, and to tell other people about that experience, or even to share that experience when they're in a group that's experiencing a conflict. So I sort of look at it as if two individuals can resolve something peacefully in mediation, then a small group is able to resolve something peacefully, then a larger group can, and so on and so on and so on. So mediation can really build peace at the individual level, at a family level, at a neighborhood level, so on, so on, and so on. There are even mediators that work at an international level to try to support peace between nations. So really, the way I see it, there's really no issue that's too small or too large to bring to mediation. And it's really just about building peace wherever you are, either with another individual, within your family, or within your community.
Lovely. Last question. What does being a peace builder mean to you?
So I've given this one some thought over the years, since I've been mediating since 2012. And to me, being a peace builder means that I'm a work in progress myself. It means that I choose conversation and understanding when I'm involved in my own conflicts. It means that I can disagree with somebody and still try to understand their perspective and where they're coming from. I don't always succeed at that. It's a lot easier for me as a person to mediate somebody else's conflict than it is to deal with my own. When I'm involved in my own conflicts, like anybody, I can get angry, I can get defensive. There are situations that I've not dealt with conflict in an ideal way. And so being a peace builder to me means I try to recognize when that happens and to do better the next time. Some people equate being a peace builder with being a pacifist. And for me, that's definitely not the case. I'm very vocal about what I believe in, and I will defend my beliefs very strongly, but I also try to stay open to building bridges across differences. So while I'm very vocal about what I believe in with people who may think differently, I also want to try and create that connection with those people to see if maybe there's some way we can connect to work together, if there's something that we can agree on. So I think being a peace builder to me is being open to the possibility of building bridges, even when it really seems like it may be insurmountable.
What a beautiful note to end on. Thank you so much, Sheri, for sharing your wisdom with us. And yeah, I'll see you at the workshop next week.
Great. I look forward to it. Thank you.
Thanks.